Hello, gentle listener. Welcome to Pets for Sleep. Whether you are returning tonight or discovering this quiet little corner for the first time, this is a place to slow down, learn something gentle about the animals we love, and allow the day to soften around you. Tonight, we are looking at one of the most familiar things a cat can do. A cat settles onto a bed, draws in its paws, curves its spine, and wraps its tail around its body until it resembles a warm circle of fur. A few hours later, that same cat may look completely different. Its front legs reach far ahead. Its hind legs trail behind. Its belly rests against a cool floor, and its body seems almost twice as long as it did before. Cats can appear to change shape with surprising ease. They curl tightly enough for the nose to nearly touch the tail. They rest on the chest with every paw hidden beneath the body. They sleep on one side with the legs loosely stacked. Some roll onto their backs, exposing the belly and allowing all four paws to point in different directions. Others extend only one foreleg, leaving the rest of the body folded into a loose crescent. These positions are sometimes treated like a simple code. A curled cat must be cold. A stretched cat must be warm. A cat showing its belly must feel completely safe. There can be some truth behind each of those ideas, but none of them explains every cat in every situation. If you enjoy these quiet journeys through the lives of animals, you are welcome to subscribe. And if it feels natural, you can leave a comment sharing where you are listening from tonight, or which sleeping position your own cat seems to prefer. It helps other gentle listeners find this calm corner, one sleepy animal story at a time. A resting position is not produced by one feeling or one need. It is the visible result of several systems working together. The temperature of the room matters, but so does the temperature of the surface beneath the cat. Ceramic tile can carry heat away from the body more quickly than a thick fleece blanket. A patch of afternoon sunlight can warm one part of a carpet, while the rest of the room remains several degrees cooler. The cat's coat matters as well. A dense layer of fur traps still air close to the skin, while the bare pads beneath the paws remain more exposed. Sleep depth can change the posture. A cat that is only lightly resting may keep its head raised and its feet tucked beneath its chest. During deeper sleep, the same animal may roll onto its side and allow the neck, spine, and legs to loosen. The body also has to manage pressure. A shoulder pressed against the floor eventually becomes less comfortable. A hip may need to shift. One leg may slide outward, while the cat remains almost entirely asleep. Age changes the choices available. A flexible young cat may curl into a tight ball and rise in one smooth movement. An older cat with stiff hips or an uncomfortable spine may choose a softer curve, a warmer bed, or a position that requires less effort to leave. Safety can influence the shape too, although it should never be read by itself. A cat resting upright with its paws beneath the body can stand quickly. A cat lying fully on its side has given more of its weight to the floor and must reorganize its legs before rising. Yet a side-sleeping cat may simply be warm, physically comfortable, or supported by a familiar bed. This is why the difference between curling and stretching is not really a choice between two fixed poses. It is a moving scale. At one end, the body becomes compact. The paws abdomen, nose, and inner legs are drawn closer together. At the other end, those same parts spread apart, increasing contact with the floor and exposing more of the body to the surrounding air. Between those extremes are dozens of small adjustments. A tail loosens, a chin lifts, one paw emerges, the spine lengthens slightly, the hind legs separate, and the tight circle slowly opens. What appears to be a sleeping cat doing almost nothing is actually a body making quiet corrections. Temperature changes, muscles relax, pressure shifts, sounds enter the ears. The surface beneath the fur grows warmer or cooler. Each small change can alter the shape that feels best. And for a cat to move between those shapes so easily, the paws are only the beginning. The shoulders, hips, neck, tail, and nearly every part of the spine must take part in the transformation. The movement begins while the cat is still standing. Its head dips slightly, bringing the nose closer to the floor. Weight shifts through the front paws as the elbows begin to bend. The hind legs follow a moment later. The hips lower, the pelvis tilts, and the belly moves toward the surface beneath it. As the chest settles, the rib cage comes to rest without dropping all at once. Muscles in the shoulders and forelegs control the descent, slowing the body as carefully as they would during a step down from a chair. The tail often remains active throughout the movement. It may sweep across the floor, pass beside the hind feet, and curve around the body only after the legs have found a comfortable position. A finished curl can look simple. Reaching it requires changes at many joints, each occurring in a particular order. Anatomists use the word flexion for a movement that usually decreases the angle between two bones. When a cat bends an elbow, bringing the lower foreleg closer to the upper foreleg, that joint is flexing. The knees and hips also flex as the hindquarters descend. Several parts of the spine bend at the same time, allowing the back to round and the head to turn toward the flank. Extension usually moves a joint in the opposite direction by increasing the angle between the bones. A cat extending its forelegs after waking straightens the elbows and reaches the paws away from the shoulders. When the spine extends, the back lengthens and may dip slightly between the shoulder blades and pelvis. Curling depends on flexion across several parts of the body. A waking stretch uses coordinated extension through the limbs, shoulders, hips, and spine. Those movements can also be combined in less obvious ways. A cat resting in a loaf folds its elbows and tucks its paws beneath the chest, while keeping the spine fairly level. The limbs are compact, yet the back has not formed the deep curve seen in a tight sleeping ball. Another cat may sleep with its spine rounded while one foreleg remains extended beyond the chest. The tail may be straight even when the hind legs are folded. These combinations show why the outline of the whole cat can be misleading. Two animals may appear equally compact, while their joints are arranged quite differently beneath the fur. Even complete stillness requires some muscular work. Resting muscle tone is the small amount of steady activity that remains in muscles when the body is relaxed. It helps keep joints aligned and prevents the head or limbs from simply falling wherever gravity pulls them. A loafing cat uses enough tone through the neck to hold its head upright. Muscles around the shoulders support the front of the body. The trunk remains organized while the diaphragm and the muscles between the ribs continue moving air into and out of the lungs. During deeper sleep, activity in many muscles decreases. The surface beneath the cat then carries more of the body's weight. A cat lying on its side can relax the neck and limbs more fully because the floor supports them. Small pockets of activity still remain. The breathing muscles continue their regular cycle. A paw may twitch. One ear may turn toward a sound while the rest of the body stays settled. The nervous system can adjust only the region that needs to move. A forepaw may slide out from beneath the chest without changing the position of the hind legs. The head can rotate toward the belly before grooming begins. Sometimes the hindquarters uncurl while the shoulders and front paws remain in place. These partial changes may occur during a brief rise toward wakefulness, followed by an immediate return to sleep. Signals traveling through the spinal cord help organize many of these movements. The brain contributes information about balance, comfort, sound, temperature, and the location of each limb. Motor nerves then carry instructions outward to the muscles. Some muscles shorten to create movement, while others control its speed and keep the joint stable. By the time the cat appears fully settled, dozens of small actions have already ended. The visible posture is the final arrangement produced by that coordination. Such control depends on a body able to bend through many small joints, rotate without losing support, and lengthen again when the cat rises. That range begins with the unusual construction of the feline skeleton. Beginning just behind the skull, the cat's spine is divided into a long series of separate bones called vertebrae. A typical cat has 7 cervical vertebrae in the neck. Humans, giraffes, and cats all share that same basic count, even though the length and movement of their necks are very different. Behind the neck are 13 thoracic vertebrae. Each of these connects with a pair of ribs, creating the flexible cage around the heart and lungs. Farther back sit 7 lumbar vertebrae in the lower spine. These are larger than the bones of the neck and help form the long, mobile region between the rib cage and pelvis. At the pelvis, 3 sacral vertebrae are fused together. The fused sacrum provides a firm connection between the spine and the hind limbs, which must handle the force of jumping, landing, and pushing the body forward. Beyond the pelvis, the spine continues into the tail. Many domestic cats have roughly 18 to 23 tail vertebrae, although the number varies. Naturally, short-tailed cats may have far fewer. A Manx cat can be born with only a small tail stump, while a long-tailed cat may have more than 20 movable bones extending beyond the pelvis. Altogether, a typical long-tailed cat may have more than 50 vertebrae from the neck to the tip of the tail. Those bones do not behave like one solid rod. Small joints connect neighboring vertebrae. Ligaments, which are strong bands of connective tissue, help hold the bones together and limit excessive movement. Muscles running along the back create and control bending. Between many of the vertebrae sit intervertebral discs. Each disc is a firm cushion that helps absorb pressure, while allowing a small amount of movement between the bones on either side. One connection may move only a little. When many connections bend together, the whole spine can form a smooth curve. This distributed movement lets a cat round its back without placing all the strain on one narrow point. The same design allows the spine to lengthen again during a waking stretch. The lumbar region contributes greatly to that change. Its 7 vertebrae form a relatively long section of lower back without ribs attached to each side. During curling, the lumbar spine flexes, bringing the rib cage and pelvis closer together. During extension, the lower back opens and lengthens. This can make a relaxed cat appear much longer, within only a few seconds. The lumbar spine also plays an important role when a cat runs. During a fast gallop, the back alternately flexes and extends, helping the hind feet reach far beneath the body before the legs push backward again. A domestic cat crossing a room rarely uses the full movement seen during a chase, yet the same flexible structure remains available during ordinary rest. The shoulders add another layer of mobility. Each scapula, or shoulder blade, lies against the outside of the rib cage. In humans, the shoulder girdle is strongly braced by the collarbones. A cat has much smaller clavicles, and they do not form the same rigid bridge across the chest. Muscles attach the shoulder blades to the trunk and allow them to slide along the ribs. When the cat stretches its front legs forward, the scapula can move with them. This sliding motion adds length to the forequarters and helps the chest sink toward the floor. When the cat curls, the shoulder blades shift back into a more compact arrangement as the forelegs fold under or beside the chest. The tail completes the moving chain. Its vertebrae become smaller toward the tip, while many small muscles guide its position. A tail can continue the curve of the lower spine, wrap across the paws, or rest over the nose. It may also remain stretched along the floor, while the rest of the body curls. This freedom allows the cat to adjust the outer edge of its sleeping shape without rearranging every limb. The familiar circle is therefore built from many separate structures working together. Small spinal joints share the curve. Sliding shoulder blades help the forequarters fold and lengthen. The tail extends the line of the spine around the body. This anatomy gives the cat an unusually wide range between compact flexion and long extension. The body can now become small. What remains is the practical value of drawing so much of that body inward. Once the cat has folded its flexible body inward, the shape begins to change how heat moves. The total amount of skin stays the same. What changes is the amount of that skin directly exposed to cooler air and surrounding surfaces. A stretched cat presents the belly, inner legs, paws, chest, and much of the flank to the room. In a tight curl, several of those regions press against one another or disappear beneath fur. The abdomen draws toward the thighs. The paws gather near the chest. The face settles beside the flank or beneath the tail. Those surfaces still exist, yet fewer of them remain open to moving air. This creates what scientists call a more compact shape. A compact shape brings more of the body's outer surface close to other warm parts of the same body. Small pockets of air become trapped between the legs, belly, chest, and tail. When that air remains fairly still, it acts as insulation. Air is a poor conductor of heat compared with materials such as stone, metal, or water. That is one reason many forms of insulation depend on trapping tiny spaces of air. Fleece, wool, feathers, and thick fur all use this same basic principle. A cat's coat contains thousands of hairs that slow the movement of air close to the skin. Many cats have longer outer hairs called guard hairs. Beneath them may be a softer layer of shorter hairs that holds even more air. The exact coat varies between breeds and individuals. A short-haired cat still carries an insulating layer, while a long-haired cat may have a much thicker barrier between the skin and the room. When furred surfaces press together during curling, their insulating layers overlap. The tail may lie across the paws. The chin may sink into the chest fur. The hind legs may press against the abdomen. Each contact adds another sheltered region where warm air can remain close to the body. Heat can still leave the cat in several ways. Conduction occurs through direct contact. If the cat lies on a cold tile floor, heat moves from the warmer body into the cooler tile. The amount transferred depends partly on the temperature difference, the material beneath the cat, and how much of the body touches it. A tight curl reduces contact with the floor compared with a long side sprawl. The cat may rest mainly on the chest, outer thigh, or a small part of the flank. Convection involves heat, carried away by moving air. A draft from a window or air vent replaces the warmed air beside the fur with cooler air. Curling shelters the belly and inner legs, where air movement becomes more limited. Radiation also carries heat away. Warm objects release energy toward cooler surroundings, even without direct contact. A cat resting near a cold window can lose heat toward the glass, despite never touching it. The curl changes how much of the body faces those cooler surroundings. All three forms of heat transfer can happen at the same time. A cat on a wooden floor may conduct heat downward, lose warmth to the room through convection, and radiate energy toward nearby walls. Posture changes the balance between them. A blanket offers a simple picture of the same geometry. Spread flat, it exposes a wide surface. Folded into layers, it traps more air and slows the movement of heat through the material. A living cat adds several controls that a blanket does not have. Its muscles produce heat while working. Digestion releases heat after a meal. Blood vessels can narrow near the skin. The animal can also move into sunlight, climb onto a cushion, or curl more tightly. This makes the circle more than a fixed shape. It is one adjustable part of the body's temperature control system. The usefulness of that adjustment depends on the heat already being produced inside the cat. A body warmed to almost 39 degrees Celsius has a very different relationship with a cool room than the human sitting beside it. Inside the cat, deep tissues are kept within a narrow temperature range. For a healthy adult, a normal rectal temperature is usually about 38.1 to 39.2 degrees Celsius. That is approximately 100.5 to 102.5 degrees Fahrenheit. A room at 22 degrees Celsius may feel pleasantly warm to a person wearing clothes. For the cat, the surrounding air is still more than 16 degrees cooler than its internal body. That difference does not mean the cat is constantly uncomfortable. Fur, blood flow, movement, posture, and metabolism all help maintain the warmer temperature inside. It does explain why a cat may search for heat in a room that feels perfectly comfortable to a human. Several different temperatures are involved, and each describes a separate part of the cat's surroundings. Core temperature is the temperature of the deeper body. It includes the environment around organs such as the heart, liver, and brain. The body works to keep this internal temperature fairly stable because chemical reactions and organ function depend on it. Skin temperature is more changeable. The skin over the chest may be warmer than the tips of the ears. A paw touching tile can cool while the abdomen remains warm beneath thick fur. Blood moving close to the surface can raise skin temperature, while reduced blood flow can help conserve heat deeper inside. Air temperature describes the atmosphere of the room. It is the number shown on a household thermostat, although the air beside a sunny window may differ from the air near the floor. Warm air rises, so a high shelf can sometimes be warmer than a resting place only a short distance below it. Surface temperature describes the object touching the cat. A bed, windowsill, floor, blanket, or human lap may each have a different temperature despite sharing the same room. A wooden floor and a fleece cushion can both sit in air measuring 22 degrees Celsius. The floor may still carry heat away more quickly, while the cushion traps a layer of warm air beneath the body. Physiologists use the term thermoneutral zone for a range of surrounding temperatures in which an animal can maintain its core temperature without spending much extra energy on heating or cooling. A frequently cited estimate for an adult domestic cat extends from roughly 30 to 38 degrees Celsius. That range is much warmer than most human homes. It should not be treated as one ideal thermostat setting for every cat. A thick-coated adult resting after a meal differs from a small kitten, a hairless cat, or a thin senior animal. Body size changes how quickly heat can be lost. Air movement matters because a draft replaces the warmed air held near the coat. Age, health, recent activity, and the surface beneath the body can shift the cat's needs as well. The estimated range comes from physiology under particular conditions. Daily comfort remains more flexible. Humans also alter their own thermal environment in ways that are easy to overlook. Clothing places layers of trapped air around the skin. Socks insulate the feet. A blanket can quickly warm a person who remains still. Cats cannot put on another layer, so they use the choices available to them. A folded blanket may become a nest. The top of a running computer can provide mild warmth. Two cats sleeping together reduce the amount of each body exposed to cooler air. A human lap supplies heat from below, while also shielding part of the cat from drafts. Small, warm areas like these are called microclimates. A microclimate is a local pocket whose conditions differ from the larger room. Sunlight passing through a window can warm dark fur and the surface beneath it. An enclosed bed holds air that has already been warmed by the cat. The space between a blanket and a sofa cushion may remain warmer than the open air only a few centimeters away. A radiator shelf can create an even stronger difference during winter. The thermostat may still display the same number across the room. The cat responds to the air and surfaces directly touching its coat. This helps explain a familiar daily pattern. A cat may begin the morning curled inside a covered bed. Around noon, it moves into a rectangle of sunlight and loosens its body. Later, after the sun passes beyond the window, it returns to a blanket and gathers its paws beneath the chest. Each location changes the temperature around the skin before the room's main temperature changes very much. For the body to make those adjustments, it needs an early warning system. Cooling at the skin must be detected, carried inward as nerve signals, and turned into a change in blood flow, location, or posture. Cooling begins at the outer edge of the body. Nerve endings in the skin respond when the temperature around them rises or falls. Some of these sensory cells are especially active during cooling, while others respond more strongly to warmth. Their job is to turn a physical change in temperature into an electrical signal that the nervous system can carry. The ears, nose, paw pads, and other exposed regions can change temperature more quickly than the heavily furred trunk. A paw resting on cool tile, therefore, supplies different information from the warm skin beneath the chest. Sensors deeper inside the body add another layer. Temperature-sensitive nerve cells are found around internal organs, major blood vessels, the spinal cord, and parts of the brain. They help represent the condition of the body's core, where temperature must remain much more stable than it does at the skin. This creates two related streams of information. The skin gives early warning about what the environment is doing. Deeper sensors report whether that change has begun to affect the tissues inside. Signals from the skin travel along peripheral nerves, which are the nerves extending outside the brain and spinal cord. They enter the spinal cord and continue toward several brain regions. Some pathways also trigger fast local responses before the cat has to make a deliberate movement. The incoming information eventually reaches areas involved in thermoregulation, the process of keeping body temperature within a useful range. One important control region is the hypothalamus. This small structure lies near the base of the brain. It helps coordinate temperature, hunger, thirst, sleep, hormone release, and other parts of the body's internal balance. Within the hypothalamus, an area called the preoptic region contains many temperature-sensitive cells. These cells receive information from the skin and from the warm blood circulating through the brain. The system works through feedback. When signals suggest that heat is being lost too quickly, the brain organizes responses that slow the loss or replace the missing warmth. A cat may first make a behavioral adjustment, moving into sunlight, climbing onto a blanket, pressing against another warm body, or curling more tightly requires relatively little energy. Behavior can solve the problem before the body needs to manufacture much additional heat. Posture is especially efficient because the cat can change it without leaving a safe resting place. The paws draw inward. The head settles near the chest. The tail closes part of the remaining gap. While the body becomes more compact, circulation near the surface may also change. Vasoconstriction is the narrowing of blood vessels. Small muscles in the walls of vessels beneath the skin contract, reducing the amount of warm blood flowing close to the cooler environment. More heat remains in the deeper tissues instead of being carried outward. The ears may cool more quickly during this response because their thin surfaces receive less warm blood. A similar adjustment can occur in the paws and other exposed regions. Tiny muscles attached to hair follicles may also contract. This raises the fur slightly, a response called piloerection. The lifted hairs can hold a thicker layer of still air close to the skin. The effect is much more useful in an animal with fur than it is in a human, where the same response produces goosebumps. If behavioral changes and reduced surface blood flow are not enough, the body can increase heat production. Muscles can generate additional warmth through small changes in activity. Metabolism also releases heat as cells process nutrients. Shivering appears when rapid, involuntary muscle contractions are needed to produce more heat. That response consumes energy, which makes earlier adjustments valuable. A few steps toward a warm bed cost less than prolonged shivering. Drawing the limbs inward also requires less fuel than continually replacing heat lost from a fully exposed body. These responses do not occur as a rigid list. Several may overlap. A cat can move toward a radiator, curl on a blanket, narrow blood vessels near the skin, and raise its coat within the same period of cooling. As warmth returns, the incoming signals change. Blood flow can increase again, the fur settles, and the body may gradually open. This is the quiet feedback loop beneath an ordinary sleeping pose. Temperature sensors report conditions. The nervous system combines those reports with information about the body's core. Muscles, blood vessels, and behavior then adjust the amount of heat being lost or produced. The visible curl is one result of that larger control system. Its effect becomes strongest when the cat gathers the thin ears, bare paw pads, exposed nose, and lightly insulated inner limbs close to the warmer trunk. As the body tightens, the most exposed regions move toward the warmest part of the cat. The hind feet slide close to the abdomen. Forepaws disappear beneath the chest or settle beside it. A bend through the neck brings the muzzle toward the flank, while the tail curves along the outside edge of the body. The finished shape may look almost circular. Its parts have been arranged according to how easily they lose heat. Most of a cat's skin is covered by fur. The paw pads are an important exception. These tough, hairless surfaces protect the feet during walking, running, climbing, and landing. They also contain sweat glands and many nerve endings that help the cat detect pressure, texture, and temperature. Because fur does not cover the pads, they lack the layer of trapped air that insulates the legs and trunk. A paw left extended into cool air can therefore lose warmth differently from one tucked beneath the chest. The nose is another exposed surface. Its outer skin is thin, moist, and largely free of fur. Moisture helps dissolve scent molecules before they enter the nasal passages, supporting the cat's powerful sense of smell. That useful sensory surface also sits directly against the surrounding air. During a tight curl, the nose may rest near the flank or disappear beneath the tail where air movement is reduced. The face contains other lightly insulated areas as well. Fur becomes shorter around the lips, eyelids, and inner surfaces of the ears. Each ear has a visible outer flap, called the pinna. The plural is pinnae. A pinna is made mostly from thin cartilage covered by skin, with only a small amount of tissue compared with the chest or abdomen. Blood vessels pass close to the surface, helping supply the ear, while also allowing heat to move between the blood and the environment. Cats can rotate their ears toward sounds using more than 30 muscles around the outer ear. When the animal settles, those mobile structures remain exposed unless the head is drawn inward. The trunk provides a much larger source of warmth. Organs such as the liver, heart, and digestive system release heat as they work. Large muscles around the shoulders, spine, and hindquarters also produce heat through normal metabolism. Bringing the paws and face beside the chest and abdomen places these cooler extremities close to a broad, warm mass. The compact arrangement also creates narrow spaces where air becomes sheltered between furred surfaces. Less moving air reaches the inner legs. The muzzle rests inside a warmer pocket near the body. Paw pads may be covered by the chest, belly fur, or another limb. The tail can add one more layer around the outer edge. It contains bone, muscle, blood vessels, nerves, skin, and fur. Yet it produces far less heat than the thick trunk. Its thermal value comes mainly from position and insulation. A well-furred tail laid over the paws slows the movement of warm air away from them. When it crosses the nose, the tail partly shields the face from drafts. Long-haired cats may carry a thick plume that forms a substantial outer layer. Short-haired cats use a thinner covering, while breeds with sparse coats gain less insulation from the same movement. Cats born with very short tails can still make a compact sleeping shape. A Manx may tuck the feet beneath the body and bury the nose near the chest without a long tail to complete the circle. The limbs and head provide most of the change in exposed area. Tail length modifies the arrangement rather than controlling it. The tightness of the curl also varies from moment to moment. During a loose curl, the head may remain raised, with one paw visible and the tail resting several centimeters away from the face. As the cat settles more deeply or the surroundings cool, the chin can drop closer to the chest. Hind legs draw inward, and the tail may cross the feet or muzzle. A warmer cat can reverse part of the movement without fully waking. The tail loosens first. One forepaw emerges. The head lifts slightly, opening the sheltered space around the nose. These changes form a thermal range rather than a fixed code for emotion. A cat can use a loose curl on a mild evening and tighten the same posture when air begins moving from a vent. Another may remain compact on a warm blanket because the shape also feels physically supported. Within either version, the arrangement protects more than temperature-sensitive extremities. As the paws, muzzle, and tail close around the trunk, the softer abdomen, throat, and inner limbs move deeper behind the outer layers of the body. Beneath those outer layers lies a body with very uneven protection. The skull forms a hard case around the brain. 13 pairs of ribs curve around the chest, shielding the heart and lungs while still allowing the chest to expand during breathing. Farther back, the abdomen has no complete bony cage. Its organs are supported by muscle, connective tissue, and the pressure inside the abdominal cavity. The liver, stomach, intestines, kidneys, and other structures remain more exposed to force than the brain or heart. The throat also contains important structures close to the surface. Air passes through the larynx and trachea on its way to the lungs. Major blood vessels run through the neck, while muscles control swallowing and head movement. Along the inner legs, skin and soft tissue cover joints, blood vessels, nerves, and less heavily furred areas. Curling changes the position of all these regions. As the spine bends, the abdomen turns toward the inside of the curve. The hind legs draw forward, placing the thighs beside the belly. Forelegs fold near the chest, while the head lowers and the throat approaches the front of the body. The limbs then create a partial barrier around the softer center. A person looking from above may see mostly the cat's back, shoulder, outer thigh, and tail. The belly and inner legs have nearly disappeared from view. This arrangement can make the resting body harder to approach directly. A paw or muzzle reaching toward the abdomen would first meet the outer limbs, tail, or side of the trunk. The cat can also lift its head, extend a forepaw, or begin to rise from within the curl. A compact outline may be less noticeable than a long body spread across open ground. Wild felids often rest among grass, rock, roots, or uneven soil, where a rounded shape can fit into a sheltered hollow. For a small animal, reducing the distance between the head, limbs, and body center can also shorten the movement needed to respond. These protective effects do not mean that every curled house cat feels threatened. A cat may form the same shape inside a locked apartment, on a familiar bed, beside a person it has known for years. The posture can still enclose vulnerable anatomy, even when protection was not the strongest reason for choosing it. Temperature may have started the movement. A round bed may guide the body into a curve. Firm edges can support the spine and hold the limbs close. Habit also matters. A cat that has slept in one basket for several winters may return to the same position because the surface, scent, and body arrangement are familiar. Joint comfort can lead to a similar silhouette. Some cats relax with the hips and knees flexed. Others prefer more extension through the spine or hind legs. The visible result may look protective while being shaped mainly by pressure and support. This is why posture works best as part of a larger pattern. A tightly curled cat with relaxed ears, slow breathing, and loose facial muscles may be sleeping comfortably. A similar curl paired with wide eyes, flattened ears, rigid muscles, and repeated scanning of the room carries different information. Movement after rest also helps. A cat that uncurls smoothly, stretches, and walks normally gives a different picture from one that remains stiff or resists changing position. The same body plan appears throughout the cat family. Domestic cats belong to the family Felidae, alongside African wildcats, lynxes, leopards, and lions. Their sizes and habitats differ greatly, yet they share a flexible spine, clawed feet, powerful hind limbs, and a torso organized around the same basic arrangement of ribs, muscles, and abdominal organs. Recognizable curls can be seen in small wildcats resting in cover and in large cats sleeping with their heads near their flanks. Evolution often preserves a posture when it solves several problems at once. The compact shape can slow heat loss, support the limbs, and reduce exposure around the body's center. Comfort can strengthen the same behavior, allowing it to remain useful even in a warm and secure home. A cat does not always complete the full circle. Often the body stays compact while the head remains upright. The ears continue turning towards sounds, and the paws rest beneath the chest. That halfway posture keeps much of the enclosure while leaving the senses ready. The cat settles over its chest with the front paws folded beneath the body. Its sternum, the flat bone running along the center of the chest, rests close to the surface. The abdomen is supported behind it. Hind legs remain tucked along the sides, while the back stays fairly level instead of forming the deep curve of a tight sleeping circle. The head remains upright. Ears can turn toward sounds, and the nose still faces the room. From above, the cat may resemble a small loaf of bread, which is how this posture gained its familiar name. Beneath the fur, the arrangement is more complex than the smooth outline suggests. The wrists bend, so the front paws can disappear beneath the chest. Elbows rest close to the ribs. The hind limbs fold at the hips and knees, placing the feet beside or beneath the pelvis. Some cats tuck every paw completely out of sight. Others leave the tips of the front toes visible, creating a looser version of the same posture. The loaf preserves several useful parts of curling. Paw pads remain sheltered from moving air. Inner legs stay close to the trunk. Much of the abdomen faces the surface beneath the cat, rather than the open room. The body also forms a compact block that can hold a layer of warmed air within the coat. This makes the loaf useful in conditions where a full nose-to-tail curl would provide more enclosure than the cat presently needs. A fleece cushion may already insulate the belly. Sunlight through a window may warm the back. The cat can remain compact without covering the face or bending the spine into a tight circle. The upright head preserves access to the surroundings. A cat's outer ears can rotate separately, helping it locate a sound without turning the whole body. The whiskers remain free from pressure against the flank. Air reaches the nose directly, carrying scent molecules from nearby people, food, open doors, or other animals. The eyes can open while the body remains supported. This makes the loaf well suited to the quiet state between full wakefulness and deeper sleep. The cat may appear settled, yet its sensory systems continue sampling the room. Rising from this posture requires a smaller rearrangement than rising from a fully relaxed side sleep. The front and hind feet are already close to the floor beneath the trunk. Muscles in the shoulders and legs can extend the joints, lifting the chest and pelvis upward. The spine then lengthens as weight returns to all four paws. A side-sleeping cat begins from a different mechanical position. One shoulder and one hip carry much of the body's weight. The legs may rest sideways rather than beneath the trunk. Before standing, the cat usually rotates the chest, gathers the limbs closer, and places the paws against the surface. This difference does not provide a precise measurement of how quickly the cat will react. It does show that the loaf keeps the body closer to a standing arrangement. A relaxed loaf often has soft edges. The shoulders sit low. Facial muscles remain loose. Eyes may close fully or narrow without tension, while breathing continues in a slow and regular pattern. The spine rests comfortably over the folded limbs. A rigid hunch can look similar from a distance. Closer observation may reveal raised shoulders, a tightly drawn abdomen, narrowed eyes, a lowered head, or resistance to movement. The cat may hold the position for an unusually long time without settling more deeply. Breathing may appear shallow, and the body can seem stiff even when the paws are tucked. The outline alone cannot separate comfort from discomfort. Expression, muscle tension, breathing, appetite, and movement after rising all add important information. The cat's usual habits matter as well. A healthy animal that has loafed on the same windowsill for years provides a clear personal baseline. A sudden change in posture deserves more attention than the posture's name. The loaf occupies a useful middle point across the larger range of feline rest. It shelters exposed surfaces while keeping the head available. It supports the body without requiring complete muscular release. It allows the cat to rest while remaining mechanically close to standing. The value of that arrangement changes with the material beneath it. A thick blanket holds warmth near the chest. Wood draws heat away at a different rate. Cool tile may encourage the cat to unfold and place more of its body against the surface. A human lap adds both warmth and soft support, changing the purpose of the same compact shape once again. A surface begins affecting the cat as soon as fur, skin, or paw pads touch it. When two objects at different temperatures meet, heat moves from the warmer object toward the cooler one. This direct transfer is called conduction. A cat whose body is close to 39 degrees Celsius will usually be warmer than the floor beneath it. Heat therefore moves downward wherever the two surfaces make contact. The speed of that transfer depends partly on the temperature difference. A cold basement floor can draw heat away faster than a floor warmed by afternoon sunlight. Contact area matters as well. One paw touching tile creates a much smaller path for heat than an entire flank pressed against it. The material itself also changes the result. Ceramic tile, stone, and metal move heat through their structure relatively well. They can accept warmth from the cat's body quickly, which is why they often feel cool at first contact. Fleece, foam, and thick blankets behave differently. Their fibers hold many small pockets of air. Still, air transfers heat slowly, so the layer beneath the cat warms and keeps more of that warmth nearby. Two materials can sit in the same room and measure almost the same temperature, while feeling very different. Imagine a wooden floor and a metal chair leg in air, measuring 22 degrees Celsius. Both have been in the room all day. The metal often feels colder because it carries heat away from skin more quickly. Tile produces a similar effect beneath a cat's paw or belly. Once the thin layer nearest the body warms, the sensation may soften, but the material can continue carrying that heat farther away. Posture lets the cat control how much of this transfer occurs. Standing places most contact on 4 small paw pads. Sitting adds the hindquarters and sometimes part of the tail. A loaf brings the chest and folded limbs close to the surface, while keeping the flanks and much of the back away from it. Side sleeping creates a larger contact patch along the shoulder, ribs, hip, and outer legs. A fully stretched cat may also press the abdomen or inner thighs against the floor. The position of the contact can matter as much as its size. A cool surface beneath the belly influences a different region from one touching only the paws. Thick fur along the side slows conduction, while the less insulated paw pads exchange heat more directly. A cat can therefore test a surface with its feet before lowering the rest of the body. A brief pause on tile may be followed by a slow descent if the cooling feels useful. Softness changes the mechanical side of the decision. A foam bed bends beneath the shoulders and hips. As the material deforms, it supports more of the body's outline and spreads weight across a broader area. This can reduce pressure on individual joints. A deep fabric bed may also rise around the sides, blocking air movement and guiding the spine into a curve. Hard tile remains nearly flat beneath the cat. Weight becomes concentrated around the shoulder, ribs, hip, and other points that touch first. The support may feel less forgiving, yet the same firmness allows more direct cooling. Cats often adjust their position before the pressure becomes uncomfortable. One foreleg slides forward. The pelvis rolls slightly. A shoulder lifts while the body turns onto the opposite side. These small changes move weight from one set of tissues to another. A single home can offer several distinct resting climates. Inside a padded bed, a cat may curl tightly, while warmed air collects around the body. On a wooden floor, the same animal might use a loose side position with the tail extended. Bathroom tile can encourage a broad sprawl, especially after play or during warm weather. A human lap provides another combination entirely. The surface is soft, warmer than most furniture, and able to shift beneath the cat's weight. None of these changes requires a different personality or mood. Each surface alters the balance between warmth, cooling, and pressure. The room quietly participates in the posture by supporting some body parts, cooling others, and shaping the amount of contact. As the air or floor grows warmer, the compact forms that once protected heat can begin holding too much of it. The tail then loosens, the paws emerge, and the body starts opening toward a longer shape. The first change may be no larger than a lifted chin. A narrow pocket of warm air opens beneath the face. The tail shifts away from the nose, leaving the muzzle exposed to the room. One forepaw appears from beneath the chest. A hind leg slides outward, and the tight curve of the spine begins to soften. As the cat continues opening, the inner thighs separate and part of the abdomen faces the floor or surrounding air. The same regions gathered together during curling are now being released. This movement does not add any new skin to the body. It changes how much of the existing surface is directly exposed. When the paws rest against the chest, air cannot move freely around every side of them. Once the legs separate, cooler air can pass through the spaces between the limbs. Fur that had been pressed against other fur returns to contact with the room. A larger part of the flank, belly, or inner legs may also touch the surface beneath the cat. On cool tile, that added contact can carry heat away through conduction. Across a wooden floor, the effect may be gentler. A shaded patch of concrete can draw warmth from the underside more quickly than a thick bed holding trapped air. The cat adjusts its shape to make use of whichever surface is available. Opening the body is only one form of behavioral cooling. A cat can leave a sunny windowsill and move into shade. Activity may slow during the warmest part of the day, reducing the heat produced by working muscles. The animal may choose a lower level of the home, where the air is sometimes cooler, or lie near a doorway, where air moves more freely. These responses cost relatively little energy. They can begin before the cat needs more demanding ways to lose heat. Sweating has a limited role in this process. Humans possess large numbers of eccrine sweat glands across much of the skin. These glands release watery sweat that cools the body as it evaporates. Cats have eccrine glands mainly in hairless areas, especially the paw pads. During heat or stress, a cat may leave damp paw marks on a smooth floor or examination table. The small area of those pads limits how much of the whole body can be cooled this way. The thick coat also makes widespread sweating less useful than it would be on mostly bare skin. Grooming provides another route for evaporation. The surface of a cat's tongue is covered with backward-facing structures called papillae. Many people know them as the tiny projections that make a cat's lick feel rough. A study published in 2018 examined tongues from 6 species in the cat family, including domestic cats, bobcats, cougars, snow leopards, tigers, and lions. Researchers found that many grooming papillae have hollow, scoop-like tips. Across the species measured, these structures were about 2.3 millimeters tall on average. The hollow tip can collect saliva from the mouth and carry it down through the outer coat. During grooming, repeated strokes spread this moisture closer to the skin than a simple wipe across the top of the fur would manage. As saliva evaporates, it removes some heat. Evaporation requires energy, and part of that energy comes from the warmth of the body and coat. Grooming also removes loose hair, separates tangled fur, and clears dirt from the coat. Those jobs help preserve the insulating layer, so the same behavior can support cooling in one moment and insulation over a longer period. Panting is another possible response. Although a relaxed cat usually relies first on posture, location, and reduced activity, rapid open-mouth breathing can increase evaporation from moist surfaces in the mouth and airways. Because panting in cats can also appear with overheating, stress, pain, or breathing difficulty, it carries more concern than ordinary stretching on a cool floor. The long resting shape often appears before any such obvious strain. The cat simply becomes broader and flatter against its surroundings. More fur meets the air. Additional body surfaces meet the floor. Sheltered spaces between the limbs open again. This gives the stretch posture a clear thermal role. A loose body can release warmth that a compact curl helped preserve. Yet a cat resting fully extended may look very similar to one performing a brief waking stretch. The difference lies in what the muscles are doing. One posture is being held, while the other is an active movement through the joints. The difference becomes clear when the cat begins to apply force. A sprawled cat may lie long across the floor with the legs extended and the spine relaxed. Its muscles still support the joints, but the body remains mostly quiet. During an active stretch, the paws press into the surface. The toes may spread. Shoulder blades slide along the rib cage, and the back changes shape as opposing muscle groups begin to work. This patterned movement is sometimes called pandiculation. The term describes the stretching that often appears during the shift from sleep toward wakefulness, sometimes together with a yawn. It occurs in many vertebrate animals, including humans. For the cat, the movement may begin only seconds after the eyes open. A common front body stretch starts with the forepaws reaching ahead. The elbows extend as the lower legs move away from the upper legs. At the same time, the chest lowers toward the floor. The shoulder blades slide forward along the ribs, adding reach to the front of the body. The pelvis remains raised, leaving the spine on a gentle downward slope from the hips toward the shoulders. Several muscles lengthen during this motion. Muscles along the back of the forelegs are drawn out as the elbows straighten. Chest and shoulder tissues change length as the front limbs move farther from the trunk. Connective tissue around the spine also experiences a gradual change in tension. Other muscles remain active to control the movement. The paws must stay planted rather than slipping. The shoulder joints need support. Muscles around the abdomen and lower back help prevent the body from dropping too quickly. A stretch, therefore, combines lengthening with carefully controlled contraction. The cat may then step forward and extend one hind leg behind the body. The hip opens as the thigh moves backward. The knee straightens, followed by the ankle and toes. Cats walk on their toes rather than placing the entire foot flat like a human. This means the long bones below the ankle form part of the visible lower hind leg. When the paw reaches behind, several joints move through a linked sequence from the pelvis to the tips of the toes. The movement may last only a second or two. The opposite leg often follows after another step. A spinal stretch can appear as a raised arch instead. The cat tucks the abdomen, curves the back upward, and briefly changes the spacing between the vertebrae. This may occur beside the familiar forward-reaching stretch or during the first steps after rising. Different versions place tension through different muscle groups, allowing the cat to sample more than one part of its available range. Inside many skeletal muscles are tiny sensory structures called muscle spindles. They respond when muscle fibers change length. A slow stretch alters their activity, sending information through sensory nerves toward the spinal cord and brain. Tendons also contain receptors that respond to force. Joints provide further information about angle, pressure, and movement. Together, these signals help the nervous system estimate where each limb is and how much tension is passing through it. This internal sense of body position is called proprioception. It allows a cat to know that a hind paw is extended behind the body without needing to look at it. The same system supports walking along a narrow ledge, placing a paw on the edge of a chair, and preparing the hindquarters for a jump. A waking stretch gives the nervous system a fresh stream of information after the body has remained still. The movement carries the joints through a controlled range and changes tension in muscles that may have rested in a shortened position. It can reveal stiffness as well. A cat that normally extends both hind legs may begin shortening the movement on one side if a joint becomes uncomfortable. The stretch should still be understood as a normal transition, rather than a test the cat consciously performs. Its usefulness comes from the information and movement produced together. By the time the forepaws leave the floor, the body has already checked the length of several muscles, the support of major joints, and the position of each limb. Those signals become especially valuable when sleep gives way to walking, grooming, climbing, or jumping. Once the stretch releases, the cat begins turning sensory information into movement. The eyes open more fully, and the head rises above the shoulders. Forepaws return beneath the chest. The spine lengthens as weight shifts forward, followed by a brief extension of one hind leg. A few seconds later, the cat may walk away, begin grooming, or pause at the edge of a chair before jumping down. These smooth actions depend on proprioception. Proprioception is the nervous system's sense of where the body's parts are positioned and how they are moving. It works even when the cat cannot see a limb. A hind paw extended behind the pelvis remains part of the cat's internal body map. The brain receives enough information to judge the paw's angle, the length of the leg, and the amount of force passing through the toes. Several kinds of sensory structures contribute to that map. Muscle spindles lie within skeletal muscles and respond when the muscle changes length. Receptors in tendons provide information about force. Sensory endings around joints respond as bones change position. The paw pads add pressure, texture, and contact information whenever they meet the floor. Signals from these structures travel through nerves toward the spinal cord and brain. Motor commands then return to the muscles, adjusting how strongly they contract. This creates a rapid loop between sensation and action. A paw presses down. Pressure receptors report the contact. Muscles around the shoulder or hip change their effort to keep the body balanced. The adjustment may occur so quickly that the movement appears completely fluid. Some control also happens through circuits within the spinal cord. These pathways can organize basic patterns of stepping and respond to sudden changes in contact. The brain adds information about direction, balance, sound, vision, and the intended movement. Together, these systems allow the cat to leave a sleeping position without stumbling through several uncertain steps. That precision becomes easier to appreciate on a narrow surface. A cat walking along the back of a sofa may place one front paw almost directly ahead of the other. Each paw must land on a strip only a few centimeters wide. The hind feet often follow close to the path made by the front feet, reducing the space needed to move. Reliable information about limb position helps guide those placements. Jumping requires a different use of the same system. Before leaving a windowsill or chair, the cat lowers its body and folds the hind legs. The paws press against the surface while muscles around the hips and spine prepare to extend. Information from the pads and tendons helps estimate support and force. Once the jump begins, the hind limbs straighten and the flexible spine contributes to the movement. Landing creates another fast sequence. Forepaws reach toward the surface. Joints bend as contact occurs, absorbing part of the impact. Sensory feedback helps distribute the remaining force through the shoulders, spine, and hindquarters. Turning also depends on an accurate body map. A cat can change direction quickly while chasing a toy because the nervous system tracks the position of the limbs as the trunk bends and rotates. The tail may shift to help manage balance, while the paws change pressure against the floor. During grooming, proprioception guides the body in a quieter way. The cat may lift one hind leg beside its head, curl the spine, and turn the neck toward an area it cannot see directly. The tongue reaches the correct patch of fur because the nervous system keeps track of the head, leg, and trunk at the same time. A waking stretch supports this larger movement system by carrying joints through a controlled range and changing muscle tension after stillness. It also supplies fresh sensory information before the cat begins a more demanding action. The effect should remain within those clear limits. Stretching does not flush toxins from the muscles or completely reset the body. Its measurable value comes from movement-altered tension and feedback from sensory receptors. The familiar sequence after sleep therefore serves as a practical bridge. A curled body opens. Muscles begin carrying more weight. Paws test the surface, and the nervous system updates the position of each limb before the cat moves into the room. This transition appears many times each day because feline sleep arrives in repeated bouts, each with its own level of muscle tone, awareness, and bodily support. A cat resting with its head raised may be much closer to wakefulness than its closed eyes suggest. The ears continue turning toward small sounds. Neck muscles hold the skull above the shoulders, and the paws remain gathered beneath the chest. This drowsy state can pass into non-rapid eye movement sleep as brain activity slows and the body becomes less responsive to the room. Deeper rest may follow without the cat changing location. The head lowers. Muscles supporting the upright posture relax, and more weight passes into the bed or floor. Later, the nervous system may enter rapid eye movement sleep, a stage with a very different pattern of brain and muscle activity. Scientists distinguish these states using several measurements. An electroencephalogram records electrical activity, produced by large groups of brain cells. Small sensors placed on or near the head detect changes in voltage over time. Researchers often shorten the name to EEG, but the important idea is simple. The recording shows whether brain activity is fast, slow, steady, or changing. Eye movement can be measured separately. Muscle sensors record how much activity remains in areas such as the neck. Movement detectors and video help show whether the animal is walking, resting, twitching, or lying still. Together, these signals reveal changes that cannot be judged from posture alone. A cat can remain in nearly the same position while passing through more than one sleep state. Modern knowledge of rapid eye movement sleep owes an important part of its history to cats. In 1959, the French neuroscientist Michel Jouvet and his colleagues studied sleeping cats in Lyon. They described a state that Jouvet called paradoxical sleep. The word paradoxical means that two parts of the state seem to disagree. Electrical activity in the outer brain looks surprisingly active, resembling wakefulness in several ways. At the same time, ordinary muscle tone in much of the body fell very low. The cat's brain had entered an active sleep state, while the large muscles were strongly held back from carrying out normal movement. This state corresponds to what is now called rapid eye movement sleep. Small movements can still appear. Whiskers may twitch. A paw can make a brief motion, or the skin around the face may shift. The larger muscles remain much less active than they are during standing, walking, or alert loafing. That reduction helps explain why support from the surface becomes important. A cat on its side can allow the floor to carry the head, shoulder, ribs, and limbs. The body does not need to maintain the same upright structure used during a loaf. Non-rapid eye movement sleep has its own internal changes. Brain waves generally become slower than during wakefulness. Muscle tone decreases, although it usually remains higher than during rapid eye movement sleep. The cat may still lift its head after a sound or adjust a paw without fully waking. As sleep deepens, responses to mild disturbances become less likely. Research published in 1990 followed 8 adult cats across a controlled daily cycle. The animals experienced 14 hours of light, followed by 10 hours of dim illumination. Researchers recorded frontal brain activity and body movement for 22 hours. Wakefulness, non-rapid eye movement sleep, and rapid eye movement sleep appeared during both the light and dim parts of the schedule. The cats did not save all their sleep for one long nighttime period. Their rest was spread across repeated episodes, with changes in depth occurring throughout the daily cycle. Posture often follows these changes, although no visible shape proves one exact sleep stage. A loaf can support drowsiness or light sleep because the limbs remain beneath the body and the head can stay raised. Side lying offers broad support when muscle tone falls. A curled cat may enter deep sleep while remaining compact, especially when a soft bed supports the curve. Some cats also reach rapid eye movement sleep while lying on the chest or partly curled. Temperature, habit, body shape, and the supporting surface continue influencing the pose. The strongest interpretation comes from combining posture with muscle looseness, responsiveness, eye movement, and small twitches. Sleep, therefore, has an internal architecture that unfolds over time. A cat may look unchanged from across the room, while its brain moves from drowsiness into slower sleep, then into an active dream-related state. Muscle support rises and falls around that progression. Awareness of the room becomes lighter or deeper. Through every stage, the chest must keep expanding. The diaphragm must keep moving, and air must continue passing into the lungs thousands of times before the cat rises again. Each breath begins beneath the lungs. A broad sheet of muscle called the diaphragm separates the chest from the abdomen. When it contracts, it moves downward and creates more space inside the chest. Pressure within the chest falls, allowing air to enter through the nose or mouth. The air passes through the larynx and then enters the trachea, the firm airway running down the neck. At the chest, the trachea divides into two main bronchi, with one leading toward each lung. These branches divide again into smaller tubes called bronchioles. At their ends are microscopic air sacs known as alveoli. Their thin walls place inhaled air close to tiny blood vessels. Oxygen moves into the blood, while carbon dioxide travels in the opposite direction and leaves during exhalation. The muscles between the ribs also help change the shape of the chest. A healthy resting cat usually breathes between about 15 and 30 times each minute, although the rate can vary with sleep depth, room temperature, recent activity, age, and health. At 20 breaths per minute, the chest completes more than 1,000 breathing cycles in a single hour. Every sleeping posture must allow that rhythm to continue with little effort. In a loaf, the chest rests over the sternum. This flat bone runs along the underside of the rib cage and provides a broad central support. The forelegs fold beside or beneath it, while the ribs remain able to move outward. The cat may keep its head upright during light rest, using neck muscles to hold the airway in a comfortable position. During side sleep, one half of the rib cage presses more firmly against the bed or floor. The upper side remains freer to expand. A soft cushion bends around the shoulder and ribs, spreading the cat's weight across a wider area. A hard floor creates firmer contact beneath the shoulder, outer ribs, hip, and legs. Curling changes the arrangement again. The spine flexes, bringing the chest and pelvis closer together. The thighs approach the abdomen, and the head turns toward the flank. Despite the compact appearance, a comfortable curl leaves enough space for the diaphragm and ribs to move normally. The abdominal organs shift slightly with each breath as the diaphragm descends. Fur and soft tissues also give the body room to settle without forming a rigid shell around the chest. A healthy cat can therefore breathe quietly while curled into a small circle. Comfort helps regulate the tightness. If the abdomen feels crowded, the room grows warmer, or the neck position becomes awkward. The cat can loosen the spine or move one hind leg away. The change may be only a few centimeters. That small opening can alter pressure around the belly and allow the ribs to rest at a different angle. Pressure slowly accumulates wherever the body meets the surface. In side sleep, the lower shoulder and hip carry much of the cat's weight. Blood flow through compressed skin and muscle can decrease slightly while the position is held. Nerves and joints also receive steady pressure. During a loaf, support is concentrated beneath the sternum, folded paws, and tucked hind limbs. A tight curl places additional contact between the thighs, abdomen, chest, and tail. These contacts can feel warm and secure for a time. Remaining in any one arrangement eventually makes a different distribution more comfortable. The nervous system can respond without bringing the cat fully into alert wakefulness. A head lifts briefly. One foreleg slides forward, shifting pressure away from the chest. The pelvis may roll until the cat rests on the opposite side. Sometimes the spine opens into a looser curve while the eyes remain closed. The breathing pattern may change for a few moments as the body moves, then settle again once the new position is supported. These partial awakenings are common during sleep. The brain rises enough to process pressure, temperature, sound, or muscle tension. A small correction follows, and deeper rest can return. Moving the limbs also changes muscle length. Turning from one side to the other unloads tissues that had supported the body and places weight onto a fresh set of contact points. The rib cage gains a different relationship with the floor, while the diaphragm continues working beneath it. Comfort during sleep is therefore maintained through repeated adjustment. Breathing continues through every shape, and pressure slowly changes the value of each one. As warmth gathers, joints remain folded, and sleep moves through different depths. The posture that worked earlier can gradually lose its advantage. Across a full night, the cat may need many positions rather than one perfect place to remain. Early in the evening, the cat may rest in a loaf, while voices, footsteps, and kitchen sounds continue around it. The paws remain tucked beneath the chest. Its head stays raised enough for the ears to follow movement through the room. Eyes close for several minutes, then open again when a cupboard shuts or someone crosses the floor. This shallow rest can continue while the household is still active. Later, the air near the floor may cool. A thermostat lowers the heat after bedtime. Warm sunlight that reached the carpet during the afternoon has disappeared. The cat begins drawing its body inward. Its chin settles closer to the chest. The hind legs fold, and the tail curves around the outside of the new shape. The smaller outline slows heat loss while the room grows quieter. As sleep deepens, the posture may loosen again. The head lowers fully. One shoulder rolls toward the surface, followed by the ribs and hip. The cat now lies on its side, with the floor or bed carrying more of its weight. Muscle tone falls during deeper sleep, so broad support becomes useful. The legs may remain slightly bent at first, then extend as warmth gathers inside the coat. A long period in one position gradually changes the conditions that made it comfortable. The shoulder pressed into the bed receives steady pressure. Warm air collects around the abdomen and inner legs. The cat's own metabolism continues releasing heat, while the fur slows its escape. The curl that helped preserve warmth can eventually make the body warmer than it was when the posture began. A hind leg then slides outward. The tail moves away from the flank. Additional fur meets the open air, and more of the side rests against the cooler surface. This is feedback in its simplest form. A posture changes the cat's temperature and pressure. Those new conditions later encourage a different posture. The second position begins altering the body in a new direction. Greater contact with the floor increases cooling. An extended limb may eventually feel cooler than the sheltered trunk. Pressure also shifts from one shoulder and hip to another as the cat turns. The cycle can repeat several times without the animal leaving the same bed. Cats follow a polyphasic pattern of sleep. Polyphasic means that sleep is divided into many separate episodes rather than one continuous block. Across the day and night, a cat moves among wakefulness, drowsiness, non-rapid eye movement sleep, and rapid eye movement sleep. A short nap may end after a household sound. A longer bout may contain several changes in sleep depth before the cat lifts its head. These internal stages overlap with events in the room. Central heating may switch off during the night. Air from a vent can begin moving across the floor. A person turns over, changing the shape and warmth of a shared bed. Another cat may climb into the same basket and add both pressure and body heat. Even a closed home contains small environmental changes from 1 hour to the next. Each reposition briefly activates the movement system. Muscles around the spine and limbs contract as the cat rolls or rises. Paw pads press into the surface, sending new pressure information through sensory nerves. The ears may rotate toward the room, while the body remains half asleep. Once the adjustment is complete, muscle activity falls and rest continues. Some awakenings lead beyond a simple turn. The cat stands, stretches the forequarters, and extends one hind leg. A grooming session may follow, spreading saliva through the coat and realigning the fur. Thirst can draw the animal toward a water bowl. Hunger may lead to a brief meal before the cat chooses a new sleeping place. A cooler floor, enclosed bed, sofa cushion, or human blanket offers a different combination of temperature and support. By morning, the cat may have occupied several locations and many shapes. The night appears quiet from across the room. Within that stillness, temperature, pressure, muscle tone, and sensory input have been changing continuously. Each posture solves the conditions of one particular moment. Its own effects slowly create the reason to move again. Physical comfort explains much of this pattern. Location also carries information about approach routes, familiar scent, household activity, and how easily the cat can rise. Those differences help explain why one bed invites a loose, exposed sleep, while another encourages the same cat to remain gathered and watchful. A cat resting over its sternum begins close to a standing position. The paws are already beneath the body, and the legs can extend with only a small shift of weight. From a loaf or crouch, the chest rises first. The hindquarters follow, and the cat can step forward without rolling onto another part of the body. Side sleeping requires a longer sequence. One shoulder and one hip carry much of the weight. Before standing, the cat usually lifts its head, rotates the chest toward the floor, and brings the feet beneath the trunk. A cat lying on its back must make an even larger turn before all four paws can support it. These exposed positions place the body farther from the mechanics of standing. They can therefore involve a greater temporary commitment to rest. The location changes how much that commitment costs. A shelf above the floor limits the directions from which another animal or person can approach. A cat may face the open room while keeping a wall behind its back. The raised position also provides a wider view of movement below. Inside a covered bed, fabric surrounds most of the body. The opening becomes the main route of approach, and the enclosed space blocks some air movement and light. A corner offers a simpler form of protection. Two walls reduce the number of exposed sides, allowing the cat to watch the room without checking behind itself. An open floor provides very different information. Visibility may be excellent, yet the body has little physical enclosure. A cat sprawled across the center of a room may have learned that people walk around it. Doors open in familiar ways, and sudden contact is unlikely. Repeated experience helps make a resting place predictable. The hum of a refrigerator returns at regular intervals. Footsteps belonging to familiar people follow recognizable paths. A washing machine may vibrate through the floor without ever approaching the bed. Household scent also remains on blankets, furniture, and clothing. Cats deposit their own scent through glands around the face and body, adding another familiar signal to places they use often. Predictability can reduce the need to keep every muscle prepared for immediate movement. A cat that has slept undisturbed on the same sofa for hundreds of evenings may gradually use looser positions there. This does not provide direct access to the cat's thoughts. It does show that experience can change how much sensory readiness and enclosure are useful in one location. Posture becomes clearer when several details are considered together. Relaxed ears usually rest in a neutral position and may turn briefly toward sounds. Tense ears can flatten or rotate sharply outward. Facial muscles soften during comfortable sleep, while discomfort may narrow the eyes and tighten the muzzle. Whiskers often lie loosely beside the cheeks in rest. Muscle tone can also be seen through the outline of the shoulders, paws, and spine. Slow, regular breathing supports a different interpretation from rapid or strained breathing. Responsiveness adds context. A deeply sleeping cat may ignore a quiet sound, then lift one ear without moving anything else. A watchful animal may open its eyes after every small noise. Recent events matter too. A visitor, furniture change, veterinary appointment, storm, or new animal in the home can temporarily alter where and how a cat rests. The individual baseline remains the strongest comparison. One cat may have slept belly up since kittenhood. Another may feel comfortable for its entire life while choosing a loose curl. The belly up position deserves particular care because it attracts simple interpretations. Rolling onto the back exposes the abdomen and places the paws above or beside the body. Warmth can contribute, especially when the belly faces moving air. Soft support may reduce pressure along the spine or hips. A familiar, quiet location can also make the posture practical. Security is compatible with this shape, although the exposed belly does not automatically invite touch. Many cats protect the abdomen with rapid paw or mouth movements when a hand approaches, even after resting comfortably moments earlier. Their sleeping position and their preference about handling are separate parts of behavior. Other postures carry the same uncertainty. A curl may combine warmth with habit. A loaf may preserve readiness, while also supporting a comfortable chest. Side sleep can reflect physical ease in a familiar place. Understanding grows from the whole pattern, rather than from assigning one emotion to one silhouette. That balance between heat, mobility, and support also changes across the lifespan. It begins with newborn kittens, whose small bodies cannot yet control temperature as effectively as those of adult cats. At birth, a kitten enters the world with far less control over body temperature than an adult cat. Its body is small, The coat is still developing, and the muscles needed for steady movement are weak. The eyes remain closed for roughly the first week to 10 days. The ears are folded, and the nervous system is still learning to coordinate crawling, feeding, and contact with the mother. Warmth must come largely from the surroundings. A newborn kitten cannot produce and conserve heat with the same efficiency as a healthy adult. Its temperature-regulating system continues maturing during the first several weeks of life. Veterinary guidance treats approximately 4 weeks as an important point, because kittens before that age still have limited control over their internal temperature. During the first week, the recommended temperature around a kitten is about 28.9 to 31.7 degrees Celsius. That is far warmer than the air in most homes. By the 4th week, the recommended range falls to approximately 20.6 to 23.9 degrees Celsius. The change reflects growing fur, stronger muscles, improved circulation, and a nervous system becoming better able to organize responses to cooling. Body size creates one of the kitten's largest challenges. A small body has a high amount of surface area compared with the mass inside it. Heat escapes across the surface, while most heat is produced within deeper tissues. A newborn weighing around 100 grams has very little warm tissue behind each patch of exposed skin. An adult cat weighing 4 kilograms has far more internal mass compared with its outer surface. This difference allows the larger body to hold warmth more steadily. The kitten also carries limited energy reserves. Feeding provides fuel for growth and heat production. Yet young kittens cannot simply increase activity whenever they become cool. Their movements are slow, and they cannot travel far to search for a better resting place. The mother becomes the main source of warmth. Her abdomen provides a heated surface beside the milk-producing glands. Kittens press close while nursing, placing their bellies and limbs against her fur and skin. Contact reduces the amount of each small body exposed to open air. The litter adds another layer of protection. Several kittens gathered together create a shared warm mass. A kitten near the middle has siblings touching much of its body. Air movement around its belly and limbs becomes limited, while warmth produced by every kitten remains within the group. Those at the outer edge may crawl inward when cooling begins. The cluster therefore changes shape as individual kittens seek warmer positions. This group arrangement performs a function similar to the adult curl. Separate surfaces are brought together. Exposed limbs disappear into fur. Warm air remains trapped within small spaces between bodies. The difference lies in dependence. An adult cat can create a compact shape alone and move toward another heat source when necessary. A newborn relies on the mother and litter because its own behavioral choices remain narrow. Development gradually widens those choices. The eyes open, hearing improves, and the legs become strong enough to lift the abdomen away from the floor. Around 3 weeks of age, walking becomes more controlled, though early steps still appear wide and unsteady. By 4 weeks, many kittens can explore beyond the nest for short periods and return when they need warmth or rest. The body's relationship with posture changes during this time. A very young kitten often sleeps pressed into the group. An older kitten can choose the edge of the bedding, stretch apart from its siblings, or crawl toward a warmer fold of fabric. Play begins adding fast changes between heat production and rest. Short chases raise muscular activity. Pouncing and wrestling produce warmth. A tired kitten may collapse on its side, then curl after the body cools. Waking stretches appear as coordination improves, and the joints move through a wider range. By the time the kitten becomes a young adult, curling has shifted from a shared survival strategy into one choice among many. The cat can loaf, sprawl, seek sunlight, leave a warm bed, or wrap itself into a circle according to the conditions of the moment. That wide range can remain for years. As joints stiffen and muscle strength changes later in life, some of those comfortable shapes may slowly become harder to enter or leave. Later in life, the same movements can begin to require more effort. A young cat may fold its hips, curve the lower spine, and rise from a deep bed in one smooth motion. An older cat may pause before standing or choose a position that leaves the legs easier to unfold. One common reason is osteoarthritis. Osteoarthritis is a long-term condition in which a joint and the tissues around it gradually change. The smooth cartilage covering the ends of bones can become thinner and rougher. Bone beneath the cartilage may thicken or form small extra growths around the joint. The capsule surrounding the joint can become inflamed, while nearby muscles may weaken when movement becomes uncomfortable. These changes can reduce the range through which a joint moves easily. They can also make certain angles or loads less comfortable. Cats often develop changes in the hips, knees, elbows, or spine. A joint affected in one area can influence movement elsewhere because the body shifts weight to avoid discomfort. An uncomfortable hip may change how the cat places a hind paw. Stiffness in the lower spine can make a tight curl harder to form. Soreness near an elbow may alter the way the chest lowers into a loaf. Degenerative joint disease is common in senior cats, although its outward signs can be subtle. A study published in 2002 examined X-rays from 100 cats older than 12 years. 90 of those cats showed visible evidence of degenerative joint disease in at least one part of the skeleton. An X-ray shows structural change. It cannot reveal exactly how much discomfort an individual cat feels at home. Some cats with clear changes continue walking and jumping with few obvious signs. Others alter their daily movements long before a person recognizes pain. Sleeping posture can be one place where those changes appear. The difficulty may occur while the cat is entering or leaving a position. A senior animal can look peaceful once settled on its side, yet take several careful steps before lowering the hips. Rising from a low bed may require the shoulders to shift forward before the hind legs can extend. A tight nose-to-tail curl asks the hips, knees, and spine to remain flexed. A looser curve may feel better when those joints have become stiff. Warm surfaces can also become more attractive. Heat does not repair an arthritic joint, though gentle warmth can make surrounding muscles feel less stiff and may support comfort during rest. An older cat may begin choosing a radiator bed, sunny windowsill, or heated pad more often than it did in earlier years. The preferred location may also become easier to reach. A bed on the floor can replace one on a high wardrobe. A chair may serve as an intermediate step toward a windowsill. Small changes in the home can preserve access without forcing a difficult jump. Waking stretches may shorten as well. A cat that once extended each hind leg fully behind the body may stop the movement sooner on one side. The forequarters may still reach forward while the hips remain more guarded. Some senior cats take longer to stand after sleep or pause before beginning to walk. Others reposition less often because turning has become uncomfortable, even though staying in one place eventually creates more pressure. Personal history gives these details meaning. A single unusual pose rarely explains much. A cat may sleep awkwardly because a blanket has folded beneath it, or because the room is warmer than usual. A pattern lasting days or weeks carries more information. Changes in jumping, grooming, appetite, litter box use, or willingness to climb can strengthen the picture. Persistent hunching, reluctance to move, repeated stiffness, or a clear departure from the cat's normal habits deserves veterinary attention. Observation works best when it compares the cat with its own earlier behavior. The useful detail may be a smaller stretch, a slower rise, or a new preference for open positions. These quiet changes can help a person notice discomfort before it becomes severe. Age gradually alters the cost of each posture, yet two cats of the same age may still choose very different shapes. Their coats, body proportions, tails, muscle mass, and inherited joint structure begin influencing comfort long before old age arrives. A thick-coated cat and a nearly hairless cat can experience the same room very differently. The coat is made from several kinds of hair, and each layer changes how quickly warmth moves away from the skin. Longer guard hairs form the visible outer coat. Shorter hairs beneath them can create a dense undercoat that traps still air close to the body. That trapped air slows heat transfer, much like the insulation inside a winter jacket. A Persian, Siberian, or Norwegian forest cat may carry a heavy coat that holds more air than the short, fine coat of a Siamese. A Sphinx has only a light covering of very fine hair, so warm beds, blankets, and human contact can become especially attractive. Coat condition matters as much as length. Clean, separated hairs create many small air spaces. Matted fur presses those hairs into dense clumps, reducing the even layer of insulation and pulling uncomfortably on the skin. Wet fur loses much of its insulating value because water replaces the trapped air. This is why a damp cat can cool more quickly, even when the room temperature has not changed. Body size adds another difference. Small cats have more outer surface compared with the amount of tissue inside them. That makes it easier for heat to move away from the body. A large adult generally has more internal mass behind each patch of skin, so its temperature changes more slowly. The same principle helps explain why kittens depend so heavily on warm nesting areas. Body condition also changes how posture feels. A lean cat may have less padding over the hips, ribs, and shoulders. Hard floors can place more pressure on those areas. A muscular cat produces heat through its active tissues and may require more space when the limbs fold beneath the trunk. Extra body fat adds insulation, while also changing how the abdomen rests against the floor and how easily the spine or hips can flex. Proportions influence the final outline. A long-bodied cat may form a broad oval rather than a small circle. Short legs can disappear beneath the chest with little visible movement. Long legs may extend beyond the edge of a bed, even when the cat is mostly curled. The tail changes the outer shape as well. A long, thick tail can cross the paws and reach the face. Its fur adds a useful insulating layer around the edge of the curl. Bobtails and tailless cats arrange themselves differently. A Japanese bobtail may carry only a short, curved tail. Some Manx cats are born with almost no visible tail at all. They can still protect the paws and nose by drawing the head inward and folding the limbs close to the chest. The tail improves some versions of the curl, while the spine and limbs perform most of the compacting work. Inherited anatomy can also affect comfort in less harmless ways. The folded ears of the Scottish fold result from a genetic change involving cartilage. Cartilage forms the firm but flexible tissue inside the outer ear. The same inherited change can affect cartilage and bone in joints throughout the body. This condition is called osteochondrodysplasia, a long word for abnormal development of bone and cartilage. Affected cats may develop stiff tails, swollen joints, shortened limbs, or painful movement. A Scottish fold, resting in an unusual sitting position, may be displaying joint discomfort rather than a charming breed habit. Changes in movement, reluctance to jump, or difficulty stretching deserve careful attention. Even cats with similar coats and body sizes can develop very different routines. One may prefer the enclosed curve of a fabric bed. Another sleeps flat across a wooden table. A third returns to the same folded blanket each afternoon because sunlight reaches it at a familiar time. Past experience helps shape these choices. A bed that has remained warm, quiet, and undisturbed becomes predictable. A surface associated with sudden noise may be avoided, even if its temperature is comfortable. Habit works within the limits of the body. Coat thickness changes insulation. Proportions alter pressure and range of motion. Inherited joint structure affects which positions remain easy. Personal experience then guides the cat toward the places where those physical needs have been met before. This makes every curl and stretch slightly individual. The same principles remain visible beyond the home, where other members of the cat family use familiar resting shapes in deserts, forests, open grasslands, and cold mountain ranges. Across the cat family, familiar resting shapes appear in bodies built for very different places. A domestic cat may curl inside a fleece bed. A lynx can settle into snow with its paws hidden beneath the chest. Lions often lie along the ground with their legs extended, while leopards may rest across broad tree branches. Sand cats and snow leopards face climates separated by thousands of kilometers and enormous differences in temperature. Their shared body plan still allows the same basic movements through the spine, shoulders, hips, and limbs. Each species belongs to the family Felidae. Members of this family range from the small black-footed cat of southern Africa, which may weigh less than 2 kilograms, to a large male tiger, weighing well over 200 kilograms. Their proportions differ, yet recognizable curls, side rests, crouches, and full extensions occur throughout the group. The value of each posture depends on the animal's habitat. Sand cats occupy dry regions across North Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, and parts of Central Asia. Their surroundings can change sharply between day and night. In parts of their range, the surface of the sand may reach about 51 degrees Celsius during the day. At night, the temperature can fall to around -0.5 degrees Celsius. One small cat must therefore cope with intense heat and temperatures near freezing within the same landscape. The sand cat's first thermal solution is often location. During the hottest hours, it can retreat into a burrow below the exposed surface. Burrows may have been dug by the cat itself or left by animals such as foxes and porcupines. Below ground, the surrounding soil changes temperature more slowly than the open sand. The space is shaded, protected from wind, and separated from direct sunlight. By entering that shelter, the cat changes its entire microclimate before adjusting its posture. Activity timing adds another layer. Sand cats are mainly active after dark, when the ground and air have cooled. Their dense coat provides insulation, while fur covering the soles of the paws helps protect them from hot sand and cold desert nights. Inside a burrow, a curled posture can preserve warmth as the temperature falls. During a warmer period, a looser rest allows more heat to leave. Posture performs part of the work after shelter, coat, and timing have already changed the conditions. High in the mountains of Central and South Asia, snow leopards solve a very different thermal problem. They occupy rocky landscapes that can rise several thousand meters above sea level. Cold air, snow, and strong winds shape much of their environment. A snow leopard carries dense fur across the body, with especially thick covering along the belly. Its broad paws spread weight over snow and have fur between the pads. The tail may be nearly as long as the animal's body. That length helps with balance while crossing steep rock, and the thick fur adds another use during rest. A snow leopard can draw its limbs inward and wrap the tail across the paws or face. The tail then forms an insulating layer around regions with less mass than the trunk. Its nose can rest beneath the fur, while the body settles into a compact circle against rock or snow. Shelter still matters. A ledge protected from wind creates different conditions from an exposed ridge. A rocky overhang can reduce falling snow and block part of the sky, slowing radiant heat loss. The cat's posture works within those local conditions, just as a domestic cat's curl works differently inside a covered bed than it does on an open floor. Large felids also show how body size changes the equation. A lion has less surface area relative to its mass than a small wild cat. Its large body loses heat more slowly, while warm grasslands can encourage long periods of side sleeping and full extension. Cold weather species often combine compact postures with thick insulation and sheltered locations. Warm climate species may spread out, seek shade, or rest against cooler ground. No posture acts alone. The sand cat uses darkness and burrows. The snow leopard relies on dense fur, body proportions, and mountain shelter. A domestic cat uses furniture, sunlight, heated rooms, and human-made bedding. Their circumstances differ greatly, yet posture remains an adjustable part of the same larger system. The resemblance between them is easy to see. Explaining the exact reason for one particular curl or stretch requires more than its outline. Temperature, sleep stage, pressure, discomfort, and the surrounding environment can all produce similar shapes. Separating those influences calls for measurements that can follow what is happening beneath the fur while the cat rests. Researchers can now watch a resting cat with far more than ordinary vision. Small room sensors record air temperature and humidity beside the bed. A thermal camera detects patterns of infrared energy and estimates which parts of the body surface are warmer or cooler. The image may show a warm chest surrounded by cooler ears and paws. Pressure-sensitive bedding can reveal how much weight rests beneath the shoulder, ribs, hip, or sternum. Tiny accelerometers measure changes in movement and direction. The same type of sensor is used in phones and fitness trackers. Attached safely to a collar, it can record when a cat walks, shakes its head, changes position, or remains still. Video adds the visible outline. Researchers can distinguish a loaf from side sleeping, follow the tail as it moves away from the face, and measure how often the cat rises during a resting period. Brain recordings provide a different kind of information. In 2024, researchers studied afternoon naps in 12 family cats using a completely non-invasive method of electroencephalography. Electroencephalography records changing electrical activity from the brain. The equipment had first been developed for similar sleep studies in dogs. Sensors were placed against the head without surgery, allowing the cats to fall asleep in a more ordinary setting. The recordings identified drowsiness, non-rapid eye movement sleep, and rapid eye movement sleep. This approach made it possible to compare visible posture with changes occurring inside the sleeping brain. Each instrument adds one part of the picture. A thermal camera can show that the paws have cooled after extending beyond a blanket. It cannot reveal whether the cat moved because of warmth, pressure, a nearby sound, or a stiff joint. An accelerometer can record the exact moment the body turns. It cannot explain why the new side felt more comfortable. Pressure-sensitive bedding may show weight leaving one hip and moving toward the chest. The measurement still cannot describe the cat's personal history with that bed or the familiar person sleeping beside it. Even several instruments working together leave room for uncertainty. A curled posture can appear during deep sleep in a warm room. A stretched posture can occur on a cool floor or across a soft blanket. The nervous system combines many streams of information, while researchers can usually measure only some of them. Inside the tight circle, joints through the spine and limbs are flexed. The abdomen and inner legs face inward. Paw pads rest near the warmer trunk. Fur holds sheltered air between surfaces that had been exposed only moments earlier. The tail may cover the feet or nose, adding another layer around the edge. Less of the body meets moving air, while the compact outline can also reduce access to the softer center. The long posture reorganizes the same body. Forelegs and hind legs extend away from the trunk. The spine lengthens and shoulder blades slide along the rib cage. Surfaces pressed together inside the curl become open to the room. A cool floor can contact more of the flank, belly, or inner limbs. Pressure moves onto a different set of tissues. During a waking stretch, muscles actively produce force while sensory receptors report length, tension, and joint position. During a resting sprawl, the longer shape can remain almost motionless as heat slowly leaves. Both forms belong to the same control system. Temperature sensors in the skin report changes near the coat. Deeper sensors help represent the condition of the core. The brain combines those signals with sleep depth, muscle tension, pressure, sound, and the remembered safety of the location. Motor nerves carry adjustments back toward the body. Blood vessels alter heat flow near the skin. A paw emerges, the spine loosens, or the cat moves toward another surface. The transition often contains more information than either finished pose. A cooling floor can encourage the body to gather inward. Warmth trapped by the curl may later lead to an extended leg. Pressure beneath one shoulder can produce a quiet turn. Deeper sleep may allow the head to fall against the bed. Sunlight crossing a room can draw the cat from one place and leave it searching for another. When the bright patch disappears, age may shorten a stretch that once reached farther. The original cat now rests where it began. Its nose approaches the tail as the body becomes compact. Hours later, the same spine opens across the floor, and the paws extend into the room. Each shape suits a different combination of temperature, support, movement, and exposure. The circle and the long stretch belong together. Between them lies the steady work of a body sensing its surroundings and responding through thousands of small adjustments. Even in the deepest quiet, the sleeping cat is never completely still.